Isn't it okay to get lost in Las Vegas?
Oh,
I
yeah.
was thinking about this the other day. You know, my son, Jesse, was out in Las Vegas when we had that 70th birthday celebration, but actually was not in attendance at the big, gathering when everybody got together for the birthday dinner. Why? Because he was playing poker at a nearby casino. And I was thinking, I really respect that. I do. Some people that might have caused some kind of very, just almost abrasive kind of rift in the family. But, with me, and everybody accepted it. Oh, yeah, he's in a poker tournament. No problem, man. Let's hope he wins, which is great.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
A very pleasant good morning, everybody. Great to be with you here on the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest and one Mike Lubitz as we wait in wild anticipation of the second weekend of the NCAA Tournament. Good to be with you. We'll have Tony Segreto, iconic broadcaster. Tony Segreto joins us later on in the program, and he will be with you from 8 until 9 o'clock. I, however, Mike Lubitz, and I hope you're okay with this, I'm going to have to bail out at about 8:30. Under the auspices of, one of those things where I'm sure I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm actually looking forward to it. But I'm not really the junket type. I often talk about the various machinations you have to go through to get to Atlantic City on those Alticocker junkets that I take, which they're very well organized. And I'm sure this one will be as well. But I'm going to be, are you inclined to get on like a bus and take a trip with a group of people to a sporting event?
To a sporting event, no.
Yes.
We did it in Thailand where we were on this thing where they did tours and we were with the same people for days, seeing different landmarks. Doing the thing that Sufrene used to do, or I don't know.
You'll have a bus going to a Marlins game, a Tuesday night against Pittsburgh, and you're thinking, okay, so how much is it? And it's like $100, and you're thinking, well, I could drive there for $5. And by the time you park and everything, I guess it's nice not to have to drive. The concept would be what? That you're getting blasted on the bus on the way down there, like you would be to a Dolphin game.
Well, you can drink the way down, you can eat on the way down, you can drink on the way back, you can eat on the way back. You don't have to pay for parking, which now most
don't have to worry about being too drunk at the event to drive home.
You don't have to worry about driving that distance there and back in traffic. Like it, I mean, and usually if you do the math, it's a lot cheaper than if you try to do it yourself. You just have to deal with being with a bunch of randoms.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine. I'm not really one that's inclined to do this sort of thing, but I did agree to it at a weak moment. I think I was trying to concentrate heavily on something else at the time. I was on a phone call. I was maybe trying to do something on the computer here, some business. And the Mustang hit me with, hey, you want to go to this thing? And I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. And so we're going today down to the Miami Open, which, I'm going to enjoy it because I really think it's a great event. One thing, I mean, for all of the knocks on Stephen Ross, somehow he managed to preserve and perpetuate this event here in South Florida. It was about to go away. And the Key Biscayne was a spectacular setting for it. I always enjoyed going down there. It was a bit of a schlep, but it was one of those times where you say it's a bit of a schlep, but it's worth it. So heading down to Hard Rock Stadium, certainly, about half the distance and far less in terms of things that you have to navigate your way through, including like a long ride on I-95, the interstate. Just breeze right in there, I would imagine, on a Wednesday morning. And then you have the world's greatest players, almost all of them, right in front of your eyes, and many of which will be in action today. So looking very much forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun. Tony's going to join us later on. Lubie's going to handle that. I'll be bailing out about 8:30, but a lot to talk about between now and then. And, if I was a general manager in the NBA, I would make sure that I had a photo of this permanently on file. And anytime an agent came to me and I was about to sign a free agent or acquire somebody in a trade or maybe even draft a kid, and the agent was brazen enough to address the idea of load management, I would, just show them the picture of Willis Reed, right? I actually have a picture of Willis Reed right here. Willis Reed. All right. Because, can you imagine Willis talking about load management? He is emblematic. He is symbolic of anybody that ever displayed an immense amount of courage. He is Kirk Gibson grabbing a bat and the fans stunned as Jack Buck is saying, I can't believe what I just saw. And he only saw him walking to the plate. He didn't know he was going to subsequently hit a home run.
Win the game.
So Willis, I guess what was he injured twice prior to this game? He had a fall in Game 5 of the 7-game series, 1970 NBA championship, Knicks Lakers, and the Knicks have a great team, right? Clyde Frazier, Earl of Pearl Monroe in the backcourt. Not too shabby, right? I mean, you would want either of those guys on your team anytime. They come to the park, you see the Pearl, you're taking them, right? Under any circumstances. And this was a toned-down Pearl. It wasn't the Pearl with the Washington Bullets,
Yeah,
who would rattle off 35 in his sleep. And you would often see, I mean, like a collection of jock straps and underwear at the midcourt stripe where the Pearl did that 360 spin. And it's like, holy shit, he's gone. And then he would dribble off to the left baseline, shoot that little one-shoulder jumper, and that was it. It was over. But he averaged about, 15 points a game with the New York Knicks. He really toned his game down to, fit in and blend in with the other guys, which was one of the other things that was marvelous about that particular team. They said this, and I think with a high level of accuracy, about how much fun it was to watch. And this may have been the pre-Durant Golden State Warriors. I guess even with Durant, those particular Warrior teams actually, illustrated what you thought basketball should be all about. Did they not? Mike Lubie Lubitz, in addition to winning at an incredible ratio, those Warrior teams, the way they moved the basketball, the way everybody was a significant factor, the way they brought people in off the bench, and they also were major contributors and catalysts to the success that the team had. I mean, the Knicks had that kind of team, certainly with their starting five. And they had Dick Barnett coming off the bench, Phil Jackson coming off the bench.
Earl the Pearl joined the Knicks literally the next year.
So he did? Okay.
3 title. He was not a part of that 70 team.
Okay, a little confusion there. So Barnett, I guess, was in the backcourt with Clyde Frazier, right? Was that not the case?
Yes.
With that 70 team?
Yeah,
nonetheless, Willis Reed in that series, and here's another thing, Libby. You tend to think that I'm just exhibiting my septuagenarian ways and, really losing it, the fact that I don't function without my New York Post. But the fact is, I just love a great sports section. I really do. And one of the few remaining happens to be the one that is published by the New York Post. Here you go. I mean, would this happen in the local papers, Libby? Where an iconic figure, I guess if Dan Marino checked out, how many pages of coverage would you have? How many different angles would you have on Dan Marino's career and his life and his perspective? What do you think? There may not be newspapers by the time Dan Marino checks out here in town. There may be only online editions. But it's great to be able to open this up and see all of the different perspectives on Willis Reed, a beloved New York Knick who died at 80. And in that series, Mike Vaccaro has a great column about it, our good buddy Mike Vaccaro. And who better from the New York writing community there to illustrate what Willis Reed and this moment was all about. But, I mean, it's probably one of the most iconic moments in all of sports. Would you agree? Willis Reed coming out. I mean, even you, as, a Generation Xer here, are aware of what that meant. And it was symbolic of, the kind of blood and guts warriors that we wanted our sports heroes to be. You didn't want some guy that was just a flake. I happen to dig the flakes. Like I like the spaceman Bill Lee. The flake, Jimmy Pearsall was one of my favorite ball players. But, he had genuine mental problems. I think the spaceman was just like the rest of us, smoked a lot of weed and was a little bit weird. Willis, though, epitomized, the hardcore work ethic that everybody was all about in the sporting universe at the time. Does that still exist today? Yes. I mean, there are many players that exhibit that sort of thing, but many more. I mean, what is that? It's like De Niro in The Fan, that stupid movie, maybe one of the worst sports movies ever made. Could that qualify? You know what? If Robbie Benson hadn't starred in One-on-One, making me not even like a great Stephen Bishop song, right? One-on-one, I want to play that game tonight. Because when I hear that song, I think of that hideous movie, Robbie Benson in the movie One-on-One, where he's like a hotshot high school kid that gets involved in a big-time college program, and the coach hates him right away because he's a showboater, and he's playing horribly, and he's got the girlfriend, and he's got all kinds of problems going on. And then finally at the end, he has like a Rudy awakening and ends up, becoming a functional player on the team and actually a star player. And the coach, goes back and, he just regrets treating him like a dog. In fact, I wouldn't treat a dog the way he treated Robbie Benson. I wouldn't treat a dog that way, but you know how the saying goes. I wouldn't treat a dog the way you treated me. That
Yes.
that could have been Robbie Benson in the movie. How bad was that movie? Was that worse than The Fan with Robert De
There's
Niro?
a lot of really bad ones. I mean, Air Bud, Teen Wolf. There's a lot of really bad sports movies. They sort of like
But why do people feel inclined to just go to the genre of sports if they just want to butcher a really
a
bad
stupid ass
script?
movie. Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Ken would say Field of Dreams. I don't agree with that, but it is
No,
schmaltzy.
people love Field of Dreams.
It is schmaltzy. I will say it's schmaltzy. I mean, but it's great. Yes, there's a long list of really shitty sports. If you take sports overall too, oh my god, there's a ton of.
Anything where Keanu Reeves is pretending to be a
I was gonna
quarterback.
say Replacements. It's not like that cinematic.
Replacements was brilliant compared to One on One. Replacements made One on One look like a Pauly Shore movie. I mean, just absolutely atrocious. Anyway, I mean, this was the kind of thing that legends are made of, and as I said, the reason that the Post is such a great asset to me is just they actually put out a good sports section here. Have pages like 4 pages on Willis Reed, and then the next big story, of course, is
WBC.
our boy Rick at
Oh,
St. John's. Yeah,
ready?
that's before they even get to baseball, which
Oh.
they are filled with. So whatever you need is right there. It's a shame that I believe it's a shame people don't get to experience this. Remember that one time we were in a meeting about how to upgrade our number of ticks on social media at the radio station, and it was being run by like a teenage girl. Okay, and they called everybody that I guess the whole staff was somehow involved in this thing, including our program director, who had a notepad out about how to do this. Now, you know that I'm paying zero attention, but I remember feeling like a complete ass as I was still carrying my New York Post that I brought into work with me. And I'm thinking, these people would have no idea what this was that were at this meeting. No idea whatsoever. I know it's going to be extinct soon, but it is a nice thing to see the tribute they had to Willis Reed and the fact they were able to dedicate that kind of space to it. Wow. I mean, just very unfortunate to hear of his passing, of course.
Yeah, it's
80 years old. He was a guy that went on to coach and be a GM. Was he coaching GM of the Knicks and the Nets? I don't know if he coached the Nets. I know he coached the Knicks for a period of time after his career was over. 70 and 73 championships, list of accomplishments that were phenomenal. He was having a great series before he got injured in that 1970 championship series. Scored 4 points in the championship game, the ultimate deciding game, Game 7. But the fact that he rolled out there in the court, as we were saying on our Defo on 5, probably, and think about the distinction of this, Lubie, produced maybe the most raucous and emotional ovation. Is that possible to say in the history of Madison Square Garden? I mean, think about this. Guys that have retired, I mean, big ball games that have been played there, boxing matches, Joe Louis and Muhammad Ali. I mean, all of the greats that have competed there. Ali Frazier fight, the first fight was there at Madison Square Garden, and so was the second one. And you're thinking all of those moments, I don't know, what was Willis Reed and his arrival on the court there. The players didn't know he was going to come out of the locker room. They were out on the floor for about 15 minutes. And all of a sudden, there's some hustle and bustle. I think Jack Twyman was the guy that was doing the game. The game wasn't even being broadcast live in New York. Can you imagine that, Lubie? It was blacked out in New York, even though the arena was sold out, and was shown on tape delay, which might have been the status of the NBA on television at that time. That they didn't show games until I think they showed like these final championship series on tape delay. That was their television deal. So they've come a long way since that time. But and I think Twyman was like giving the elbow to Chris Schenkel, who was calling a game on ABC and saying, "I think that's Willis." And he comes out of the locker room, and the rest is the stuff, as we said, of which legends are made. So going to be missed. Speaking of legendary, wow, Lubie, I think we missed the boat on this one. Were we, was this a case of, Stevie Wonder time for us? We were just blind to the idea that this was actually a spectacular event. Certainly the reaction of the fans that were at the stadiums that looked at the and went to and attended the World Baseball Classic games had much more of a feeling for it than we did. I was thinking I felt badly for my Met fan friend, Ira the Met fan, because his season is already on the brink with Edwin Diaz going out. And it was a fluke injury. Could that have happened to him if he was just at Met spring training up there in Port St. Lucie? Sure, could have happened. I mean, the guy was jumping up and down. It wasn't like he was doing anything. How the hell did he injure his knee that badly, jumping up and down? I mean, he didn't land on somebody's foot or anything. He's just jumping up and down. And the next thing you know, he's got a torn patellar tendon. One of those things that, like, holy Jim Lonborg, man, how long is this guy going to be out of the lineup? All year. I mean, that's it. Lost for the season. Edwin Diaz, the Mets, who had invested $475 million in ball players this year, including giving Diaz one of the richest closer contracts. If not, I don't know if it's the richest one ever. $20 million a year for like 5 years. I think he got $100 million for 5 years.
Oh my God.
That's for a closer. That's got to be up there with the highest ever. And sure enough, gone. Over this World Baseball Classic. Altuve goes out with a broken thumb. So I know a lot of people, South Floridians and people from the East Coast would say, good. We hate that bastard, that cheating bleep sucker.
You can just say cocksucker.
He's an exciting, he's an exciting ball player. I don't know. I mean, I give the Houston Astros credit for keeping it together. I mean, this was a team. How many times have we heard this theory that, oh, yeah, well, we're going to be bad for a few years, but then we're really going to be good forever?
Yeah, okay.
And look at this. I mean, they were horrible for like 3 years, losing 100 games plus 3 years in a row, much like the Atlanta Braves. And like the Atlanta, how is it possible that other organizations can do this and our teams never can, Lubie? Our teams go into the tank and then they go deeper into the tank after that. And not only do they go deeper into the tank and accomplish nothing, but they give up all of their possible future assets in the process.
Yeah, we actually spend our time wondering who was worse. Like that, we do that with
Yeah.
the Dolphins. Was it Wanstead or was it Cameron or was it Saban? And then we go to the Marlins. We're like, was it Loria and Sampson or is Kim Ng somehow worse? Like,
or you know, I mean, would the team be better off if they were talking about it in terms of contraction? Or moving to another city. I remember when Loria was threatening to move the Marlins to another city, and he had that phony judge from San Antonio with the cowboy hat on, and you're thinking, I don't know if I want to appear in front of this guy. And, he's pointing to him opening day and saying, you see this, you assholes? You don't come to the games. They're moving. You're going to be, wondering what is the fascination with the Riverwalk in San Antonio, and is this the only attraction that the city could possibly have under its auspices. And you know what? I remember thinking at the time as he was pointing to that guy, Loria,
good luck.
as much as I love baseball, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'll root for you guys in San Antonio, man. I mean, what kind of uniforms are you going to have? I'm glad we have a team here. It's nice. It's always good to have a team in every sport in your city. Fantastic. But it is odd that our organizations can never, ever do what a lot of other teams now not as surefire a thing in the NBA, where you've had teams forever that have been in the process. And look, we were talking with Grant Long on the show yesterday, and here, I mean, I didn't even want to bring up the Detroit Pistons to Grant, as much as we love the guy and as candid as he is. Did you want to mention, hey, what's up with your Pistons? It's an offbeat question for, a show that's on here and originating out of South Florida. Who cares about I say it, Louis, the fucking Pistons? Who cares about it?
My issue isn't, we talk about all things outside of the area. They've been bad for a while. They went to like 6 or 7 straight conference finals in the 2000s, and then they've just been bad. Like,
holy Chauncey Billups, what happened to this franchise?
I don't know.
Dave Bing rolling over in his grave.
Dumars
Bing
set
dead?
him up and set him to fail. It was crazy.
Make sure Dave Bing is dead before I pronounce him dead on arrival here.
He is, but I'm not sure.
I'm going to say Dave Bing checked out. Yeah. Unbelievable. Willis Reed gone. Wow, that one really hurts. It's throwing me out of sorts. Anyway, I'm watching last night. I tuned in. I think I've been Svengali'd again by Sarney, Jim Sarney. He's done it to me again. Jim, you now own me. What do you want? What do I have to do to get out of being cast underneath this spell, man? It's almost like I don't want to equate it with the curse of Rachel Nichols, because it's not necessarily the purveyor of bad things to come. It's actually been enlightening, this whole business with Sarney and the women's game. What happened right away in our interview? Was it not a good thing that I'd seen the women's game? Jim Larinaga, what does he bring up right away? Hey, how about our girls?
I don't think Bing died.
Bing's still around?
I think he's alive still.
He's probably doing very well. Probably looks better than I do at this point. He's only a few years older than I am. I guess, yeah, he wouldn't be that old. Dave Bing, he would have to be about, what, 76, 77 years old? Something in that area. He was playing for the Cuse and maybe even younger than that, right? 67? What was he? Is still in the backcourt there with Jimmy B?
He's 79 and he's not dead.
Good, good. I love Dave Bing.
Alive and well. At Cuse alum, alive and well.
Classy individual also. Always carried himself in
He's
a very distinguished manner. All right, so we were trashing the World Baseball Classic, were we not? I mean, not trashing it, but it was just saying, hey, you know what? And it's true. I mean, we're being honest. I really hadn't gotten into it. I didn't know I knew the games were being played at Lone Shark, but you know, I wasn't sure how the format worked, or you know, were there games also taking place in other countries? I guess there were other venues for these preliminary games. Is it double elimination? How the hell do they work it?
I have no idea. I know nothing about the WBC.
I knew Israel was out. That's the only thing I knew about it. Israel out.
I don't know who's in because no one plays.
And we Jews could play some baseball. That was our game.
It's the one sport there's a lot of great Jews. Yes.
Yeah.
What
about Mordecai Brown? Was he Jewish?
If your name's Mordecai, probably. I don't know.
I'm thinking Mordecai. You know, if your mother names you Mordecai, you better be Jewish, right? Even if your last name is Brown, doesn't sound that Jewish.
Baseball.
Bronsky. It might have been Bronsky. They might have changed it right there when they, you know.
It was Mordecai Bronsky. And
got to the Statue of Liberty there. All right, what were you going to say, Lubie? Did I throw you off?
It's not worldwide a sport of some of the other sports. Like it's in the Caribbean, it's in South America, and it's really not in Europe. Outside of it's in Asia.
No, you don't see a lot of Dutch. Does the Netherlands have a baseball team?
America, the North America, because I guess Canada will play some baseball in South America.
Well, I know there was always a feeling too that well, naturally, because you know, it was our game, it was our national pastime, that the USA was vastly superior to the rest of the world. And then Japan, you know, we were always trying to figure out, well, what does it mean a guy goes to Japan like Warren Cromartie, and all of a sudden he's hitting 379?
Yeah.
What level of baseball could that be? And then, you know, there's been what? In the last 25 years, you know, this focus on the star Japanese players possibly coming here. And we've had several, you know, come into the major leagues. And obviously, many of them have performed very well, with the exception maybe of Hideki Irabu.
I was going to say, because I'm going through Matsui, Nomo, Dice K, and then I'm like, oh, Irabu.
That Dice K was a bit of a disappointment, was he not? Yeah.
Matsui.
Hideki Matsui was a long time, excellent ball player.
With the one with the Rangers, what the hell's his name? That was on
Darvish. Who's now with San Diego. Darvish was part of the Japanese team. And, well, I mean, obviously the showcase guy was going to be Shohei Ohtani, which he's doing something that is so remarkable. But because he plays in relative obscurity, I mean, it's hard to believe. The Angels are clearly the redheaded stepchild of the Los Angeles baseball area. I mean, the Dodgers are always going to be number one. They're the number one team in town. I think even still, could you say they're even more popular than the Lakers with LeBron James? The Los Angeles Dodgers were always the number one thing. I still remember being on like the 101, stuck in traffic, and you had your windows down because the air is cool at night there in California, even in the dead of summer. And every car had Vin Scully in perfect symmetry, you know, blasting out of the radio speakers. Pull up a chair and stay a while. I mean, everybody was interested in Dodger baseball, and the games were always packed. So, could they be more popular in LA than the Lakers? Is that possible?
Since the mid to late '80s, I feel like it's a Laker town. I mean, I don't know. I haven't been to LA much, but when I was in downtown LA, you see Laker shit everywhere. You don't see a lot of Dodger stuff. I mean, I know that.
I don't know. I mean, I would disagree with that. Like,
I don't know. I mean, I'm in LA a lot.
Every guy that's you know, pumping gas or working in a laundromat has a Dodger cap on. And a story about you know, Vin Scully, or you know, the time that they saw Steve Garvey with some chick.
Yeah, I don't know. I know the younger generation doesn't care about baseball, so they're all about the Lakers. So I don't know about, like, you know, over 30 and up where the Dodgers stand.
Yeah, it may have changed. I mean, you know, it's only been 42 years since I've been there.
Remember, you left when the Lakers were just getting into their prominence. So remember, you have Showtime.
Yeah.
Then you have Shaq. Then you get the LeBron, and then you get Kobe with Gasol. Then you get LeBron. Pretty much every decade, they made a nice run. The Dodgers went a long time without winning until the Magic era, until the last 10, 15 years. So
yeah,
curious if the younger generation has the same affinity for the Dodgers
You might be right about that, Louie. Maybe I should come to grips with modern times.
I don't know.
Good news for modern man, Defo. You're going to wake up. Remember they used to knock on your door at 7 in the morning, and they would hand you that book, "Good News for Modern Man." And I'm thinking, this may be good news for you, but the fact that you're here right now on a Sunday,
It's not good for
get
me.
the fuck out of here. Anyway, I mean, you would have to. The point being with Otani, I mean, here's Otani, an international superstar, but I'm not sure. I mean, do people really appreciate what this guy is doing?
Oh no. Ken and I were talking about it. It's weird that
And if he was a Dodger, they probably would, more so. That was the point of that whole Dodger thing.
100%. Look,
Yeah.
you have the greatest thing since probably Babe Ruth and what he's able to do. No, however good a Bonds was, and he was an all-around player. He wasn't pitching and hitting. He's maybe the best hitter in the game. And he probably would be a top 5 pitcher if he focused on pitching.
Yes.
He's still a top 15 pitcher, and it's his side gig. So, like, what he's doing is nuts. And then you have Trout, who is the best all-around player in the game, and he's been the best all-around player for a decade. And they never do anything, the Angels. Like, so
Nothing. Yeah.
he's on the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Cubs, even the Mets. It's a whole different, like,
If he's a Met, they're going crazy for this.
he crossed the sports lines. Like baseball, you haven't had a player that has been in the front and center of the sports fan nationally. God, since Bonds, maybe. He would do that. He would be that guy. The problem is with the fucking Angels, and no, they never make a playoffs. They never are like front and center ever.
When I was with the Ontario Daily Distort, yesterday's news tomorrow, we didn't travel with either of the baseball teams because we only had a staff of 4 guys, and I was one of them. And I was spending most of my time, as I said, at Los Alamitos, and then trying to gather enough facts to put together a story on whatever event I was supposed to be covering. But I didn't mind at all going down to cover, and we had the opportunity to cover both because they tended to alternate when they were in town, the Dodgers and the Angels. And even with Nolan Ryan on the mound and a great team, I mean, they had Frank Tanano, and he still had a fastball.
Yeah, he was good.
I mean, you had Don Baylor on that team with the California Angels, as they were known at the time, and Bobby Grinch at second base, Rod Carew.
I was going to say, was Carew there? Carew may have.
Carew was on the team. I mean, they had some dynamite players, and a really good team. They didn't win any championships, but still, it felt like the difference between going, and it was a lot easier to get to Anaheim Stadium than it was to get to Dodger Stadium from where I was coming from, traveling from there in the Inland Empire, where don't breathe until we tell you. I'm telling you, the smog out there. I don't know what they did. Supposedly, it's not that big of a factor anymore. What's that?
A lot. They've cleared it out a lot. Because I remember growing up.
What the hell did they do, man?
Fucking deal. But when I went there, it wasn't bad at all. I don't know. Whatever it is, they need to do that over in India because Shirley faced pollution that I didn't know still existed on this planet like that.
Oh no, it was so thick. Honestly, when I first went out to this area of Los Angeles, which was well east of L.A., like 50 miles east of L.A., maybe 30, 35 miles east of L.A. I'm working for this shithole newspaper, the Fontana Herald News, my first job, and I'm in town probably 3 months, and I didn't realize there were mountains at the end of the street. The main street there in town was appropriately named Foothill Boulevard. Right. And I'm thinking foothill to what? And I'd never seen, it was never clear enough to even notice mountains, which were like 3 feet away. It's amazing. You could have driven right into them and just crashed into it. But going to Anaheim Stadium compared to Dodger Stadium, what was like, going to see an ABA game at the East Comac Arena on Long Island, where you'll remember I saw that legendary performance by Rick Barry, who remembered every detail of that performance, including correcting me, saying, "What do you mean 57 points? It was 58." It's like, how on earth do you remember that, Rick?
It did a long time, man.
I can barely visualize it, like in my, memory bank there. I remember going with a couple of guys because we were such basketball fans that we said, no, let's go see these ABA games. And it was a doubleheader. And in the second game was Dr. J.
Yep. Yeah.
It was $3 or something to get in.
I mean, Hooters. Yeah, my dad talked about it. It's fucking nuts.
But I mean, it was like going, to some, church carnival as compared to going to Ringling Brothers in their heyday. and even with these illustrious players, I mean, they were still the redheaded stepchild there in Los Angeles, as I would imagine the Chargers are now. Where, I mean, when you watch a Charger game on TV and it's being played in their home ballpark, which they share with the Rams, you're like, wait a minute. I thought this game was in L.A. I took the points. And then you realize, oh my God. I mean, the 49ers score and the place erupts. It's kind of like when the Giants were here at Hard Rock, what is now Hard Rock Stadium many years ago. The New York Giants, who made a rare appearance here in South Florida, and they scored a touchdown while I was unable to see the game because I was coming back, upstairs, to try and find a seat after being down on the field. So I missed like the kickoff in the first couple of plays, and the stadium is rocking, it's shaking, and you're thinking, wow, I can't believe this. I missed. Marino must have thrown on the duper like for 85 yards, and then I look on the scoreboard and it was a Giants 7, Dolphins nothing. Right, the people here. I mean, how fickle can you be as sports fans when the stadium erupts for the opposite team? That was the way for a long period of time. But this Ohtani versus Trout thing last night, that was, I mean, that was iconic stuff, was it not? I know you think it's a contrived thing, and you don't care about it, and neither did I until last night. So it was enlightening to see what it meant to the players, and I did not realize what an all-star lineup the U.S. team was comprised of. How they could possibly lose the championship to anybody,
Like who
even
did
Ohtani.
Japan have? Like I don't like that. Like I was watching last night, and at Vega when we're where we do our trivia.
They had like 5 hits in the game. That was it.
They went through the lineup, and I'm like, I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, this lineup is freaking murderer's row.
Unbelievable, yeah.
Who does Japan have? And the pitcher was annihilating them. I'm like, who is this Hakashimi? I'm like, who is this guy? I'm like, why is he not in the?
How about that weird levitating type stuff that they have, where the ball's like an inch off the ground and whoosh, it's right under the guy's chin. You're like, wait a minute, and he's throwing it submarine style, crazy.
I'm like, how much can they pay them over there that they're not in the majors?
It's a different style of baseball, yeah. It really was something to see. So I don't know. I mean, how often do they play the World Baseball Classic? Is it every 3 years? Every 2 years?
The next one's 2026, so I guess and we're in 2023. So
well, if I'm around, I'm going to pay more attention to it.
There you go.
All right.
Whatever.
The Netherlands never has a good team because I mean you can't put spikes on wooden shoes, my friend. Just can't do it. All right, Sweet 16. So that was great. I really enjoyed that. Ohtani has to face Jeff McNeil of the Mets, batting champion in the National League last year. Mookie Betts, all-around player, considered to be one of the best in the game without question, and then strikes out Mike Trout to end the inning after getting Betts to hit into a double play. He walked the first guy. It was 3-2 Japan. I would have to say, if you were looking for your money's worth of drama, while you were spacing out, trying to fall asleep, that was pretty good. It was pretty good stuff. The Sweet 16. All right, I had some odds here, Lubie, and I want you to, kind of weigh in on this.
Okay.
And see what you think. I mean, are we getting the short drift here? Because ultimately, it doesn't matter if you're getting like 20-1 or 50-1 or 3-1. If your team doesn't win, it doesn't make any difference, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so and people will say, "Well, geez, you bet the chalk," which is probably a foolish maneuver because if you do it all the time, you're in all likelihood going to be buried. I mean, completely buried, and it may take a little while, but ultimately, all of your money is going to go up in smoke. Just betting favorites all the time, it doesn't work. And there's a certain thrill, is there not? A degenerate. I mean, some of your degenerate DNA just goes into full, revolution when you're right about a long shot. Would you agree with that? When the professor comes up with one and they're like 11.5-point underdogs and he plays them on the money line, much like Jersey Kyle did with Fairleigh Dickinson, right? You have to be borderline Meshuggah.
Yes.
Within, like a phone call of being Baker acted by somebody that was, your biggest booster and fan. Yep. They just couldn't stand to see you deteriorate like that anymore. You were going to bet Fairleigh Dickinson on the money line. And so you called 888 admitted on their behalf.
Well, look, literally, if when like a friend of yours does that, you're like, good for you. And then you're like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like and you're mad at them. You're like, that was a weird move. Why would you? You don't even know. You don't know enough to know to pick that game at all. Like,
no, but certain people have blind luck. Not blind luck. I mean, it's not blind because they do it, consistently enough to make you wonder, like, does this guy have some kind of level of clairvoyance that, not even Dionne Warwick had when she was on that phony psychic hotline? I mean, how does he see these things? But you also have to have some balls, I guess, to do that, and maybe some money that you don't mind losing, which would help a lot to ease the pain in that situation. All right, so here are the things that struck me, Luby,
Okay.
about all of this. Odds to reach the Final Four. Odds to reach the Final Four. Do you see the Miami Hurricanes, A, beating Houston, and then B, beating whatever subsequent rival they would have to
It's
face?
gonna have to be. Oh, I just looked it up.
Who else is in that category there?
Texas. I think it's one of them plays either FAU or Miami would have to play if Texas wins through.
I suppose we should know this.
I know I had it. I'll look it up.
Yeah. But it's okay. I mean, look, we
Yeah,
we don't have a bracket in front of us here, so I don't feel like guilty about that.
I don't see either getting there. I don't see either.
I don't see them getting there either. I don't know why. I didn't see them getting here.
Yeah.
Because I thought, originally that they would lose to Indiana. And, it was great. How illuminating was Jim Larinaga on the program yesterday about all of his different philosophies? I loved when he said that he sees basketball as a track meet.
Yes.
That's it's not a brand new perspective, but what he, said was it made perfect sense, did it not? Where, you know how it is, you have a 5-on-3 break, and you're going to have somebody that's going to get off one of their favorite shots. No,
So FAU would play the winner of Michigan State, Kansas State, which again,
both teams are. Michigan State was nothing special during the regular season.
and then Miami would play the winner of Texas and Xavier. I think Texas.
Boy, they had a much tougher road, huh? Miami did. Then,
Yes.
as a 5 seed, they actually ended up with a more difficult assignment than FAU faced. Except that FAU was, scheduled for a bludgeoning in the second round because everybody and their grandmother thought they were going to play Purdue.
Yes. So
The more I think about it, too, and I know we've said this before, but the Greek came up with this, and he's absolutely right. Zach Edey looks like the spitting image. I mean, you talk about an absolute double. That a dead ringer. He's a dead ringer for the Purdue mascot. He really is.
Yes, he is. 100%.
Unbelievable. But anyway, so they are. Miami is. You get 50-1. No, you get 9-1. Only 9-1 for Miami to reach the Final Four. Would you lay 100 to win 900 on Miami to go to the Final Four? Obviously, you just said no.
No, I don't see them getting. Look, what's interesting is I don't think either should be a heavy underdog.
Yeah,
So I wouldn't be like shocked. They've gotten neither's path is scary.
it doesn't seem to be in the cards though.
Like
Does
they don't
it,
have
Ruby?
to play Gonzaga. They don't have the two teams to me that have been the scariest are Gonzaga and Alabama. Okay, they don't have to play either of those. However, Houston. And you're talking with Ken yesterday. The problem with Houston is they're erratic. If you get a Houston when they're shooting the lights out,
Yeah.
they're hard to beat. That's why they're number one. But they're shaky, right? They're up.
You want my analytics though? Here's
Yes,
something
I want the
that
analytics. Let's go.
this is going to have to be where the clash is decided.
Okay.
Miami averages 79.1 points per game. I'm sure you're aware of that.
Sure.
And Houston only gives up 56.6 points per game.
Mm.
So what gives there? And then the big question mark would be Houston has waves of people that they send to the let me go Dick Vitale, the offensive glass. I mean, they're very good in terms of crashing the boards. And Miami, essentially, I don't know. I mean, the way Jim Larinaga described it yesterday, they had any number of people that filled the role of O'Meara, who really was Wes Unseld-esque in that ball game against Indiana. I have not seen anything like that since Unseld was slinging that fat around at 6'7". Well, he was 6'7" of wide, broad muscle. But the biggest ass, I think, in basketball history this side of Oscar Robertson. No? And that's an asset to a rebounder, is it not? You guys know that, especially as Jewish players, right? Where you'd stick that big Jewish ass in the guy's crotch, and there was no way he was getting around you, man. He would have to do some kind of college wrestling move and execute a reversal. But no, I mean that would be the telling key points in the game, would it not, Lubie? Can Miami execute this kind of level of offense against a Houston team that only gives up 56 points a game? Can they come anywhere close to their average, which is 23 points higher in terms of scoring? And then can they hold them off the glass with one guy? Or do they have more than one guy? That's That's kind of the thing that Jim Larinaga implied yesterday, that they have other guys that can do this job.
No, they team rebound. Their guards do a pretty good job of getting in there and rebounding. I I I will be rooting for both of them. I think FAU for some reason has a better shot because of their path. I don't see either getting past this next game. This is where
Okay, you see them both losing their next game. Okay,
this is where those teams usually go to die.
I don't think you're alone.
Yeah.
Now, interestingly, and I guess you just kind of illustrated that, Lubie, that FAU, while Miami's 9-1 to reach the Final Four, FAU is only 4.5-1. So FAU being given twice the chance by the odds makers and obviously the bettors out there to make the Final Four over the University of Miami, who has, from what you described, a much more difficult assignment there, because they have to take on the number 1 seed in the bracket, and then the winner of the 2 versus 3.
Yes.
So, and a lot of people like Xavier coming into the tournament.
Yep.
And Texas also one of the top teams in the country all year long. So, much more difficult path than the Michigan State, Kansas State winner.
Yeah, and neither team's scary. Michigan State's a team people thought would go down in the first round.
Yeah. So interesting. Anyway, it was great having both coaches on the show yesterday. I thought Dusty May was terrific. Yeah. And Larinaga, that we just love the man. So and he couldn't have been any happier. It's funny too. The first thing he points out, hey, did you see the picture of me when Omer came over and hugged me and I got a kiss from Nigel Pack? He just, he is so integrated into the the hearts and psyche of these players. It's good because Tony, you would think this is the epitome of what Tony's always been talking about with these kind of coaches. Tony Segreto, who's going to join us here in about 15 minutes on the program, where, it seems like pie in the sky, doesn't it, Lubie? To talk about it that way, especially when you had a thing. I was surprised. This must have happened right after the show yesterday, where this Tobin Anderson from Fairleigh Dickinson took Pitino's job at Iona, which you're thinking, I don't know. Imagine that is a major step up. Pitino, to his credit, a lot of people have been knocking him, saying, the shady, unscrupulous Rick Pitino, and not to be like an apologist for him, because we happen to like the guy, but he did, come back under some. Iona is not exactly, he got the head coaching job at UCLA, which he easily could have, that could have been where he started out after he got back from Greece. I don't know. That there was enough disgrace associated with him, or any coach in college basketball for that matter, to preclude any school from thinking we ought to hire this guy.
Beard just got another job in the season.
Yeah.
Everything was dropped fine, but it was still stuff that was levied, and there was real stuff behind it with I guess his fiance. It may not.
She changed her mind and decided, hey, you know what? I don't want to throw our careers away. Yeah.
And it was justified to suspend him / fire him, and another school already hired him. They didn't even wait to the offseason.
And the guy that just, I guess he got the McNeese State job or something, and then they immediately had to suspend him because they already knew that this guy was under some kind of, illicit investigation that, being investigated for doing something that wasn't exactly kosher. Speaking of Passover, Mike Lubie Lubitz. But anyway, so that FAU accorded twice the shot of making a Final Four. Odds to win the tournament outright, both are in there at 50-1. The only longer shot is Princeton at 100-1. And you would have to be very bold to go ahead and embrace Princeton. Although now it is amazing how every analyst is talking about how tough the Ivy League is.
No, please.
Right?
Don't give a shit about the Ivy League.
Bunch of spoiled white schminks. Maybe not back in the day when the Duke was playing.
Yeah, the Ivy League until like the 60s was like a big deal. It was like the SUNY New York school.
Yeah, Yale, Harvard, they had decent teams, right? You'd see them on Marty Glickman would be calling the games whenever the high school game of the week wasn't on. It was like, okay, here we go, Marty Glickman here, and we got Ivy League basketball today, and we would watch this stuff and consider it wildly entertaining. It was a different brand of ball. It was the kind of ball we were playing in the parks of New York, right?
There you go.
Set a pick over here, throw the ball to this guy, pick away from the ball. Basic stuff, right? Bobby Knight, 101. And, that was basketball at the time, as opposed to run to the corner and chuck up a three. That was my game, though. Right to the corner.
Ahead of your time.
Stan had the 3-point stripe when I was playing, Lubie. I think I might have outscored Pete Maravich.
He was ahead of his time.
Yeah, I mean, but the NBA 3 still, to me, is a bit of a chuck. Even being somebody that was, an adequate, more than adequate long range shooter. Uh, it's a chuck, right? And the philosophy at the time, though, in basketball, what was being more dictated by guys like Oscar Robertson, we mentioned before, for having a big ass. That sounds like it's out of the movie Heat, right? I feel like Al Pacino because he's got a big ass. Remember when he threw the television set? That was great. But he can't watch my TV. Anyway, Robertson, his theory was, and I remember a friend of mine kind of telling me this because I think he thought I was shooting too many from the Coke machine. But he said, you know what Oscar Robertson says about, his philosophy on scoring is, why would he ever take a 14-footer when he could take a 13-footer? And so, he would use that big ass and maneuver his way in an extra foot. And if you watch his game, he was very consistent at doing that. And shot a lot of short mid-range jumpers that were 12, 13 feet, and it was very efficient. Had a weird way of releasing the ball. Do you remember that? You ever see films of Oscar Robertson?
Yeah, he shot it like on the palm, didn't he?
Didn't he? Yeah, it looked like he was holding up a shot put there for a while. All right. So anyway, Sweet 16 coming up. FAU plays Thursday night. They go against Tennessee. And the Hurricanes have what appears to be a little bit of a daunting assignment. It's back to 7 and a hook, I think, the line, as they are underdogs to Houston, who has struggled. I want to say that kid's name is Trayvon Mark. Did we ever look that up, Lubie? He carried Houston in their last game when their other guys, Shed and Sasser, were kind of off of their game a little bit. I think either both were in foul trouble. I know they've both been nursing injuries. So Calvin Sampson may have some concerns. Let's hope Larinaga can pull it out. All right, we're going to come back with more. Tony Segreto is going to join us at 8 o'clock, a little old school with Tony Segreto. We'll get
Tremon. His name's Tremon Mark.
Tremon Mark. Okay. Not Trayvon.
No, Tremon.
At least I had the last name right.
You were close. Yes, you were very close. It sounded the same, and it was the same last name. Look at you.
We would hate to appear like we didn't know what we were talking about here on the show. Why would that ever occur to anybody? Oh, yeah, they're experts now in the NCAA, man. They didn't watch a game all year, those clowns. Lubie and Defo, yeah? You hear their show, man? It sucks.
I do it every day. Every year I do that.
It's just like when the hockey playoffs come around. All of a sudden, hey, can you believe this, Bobrovsky?
Yeah, don't even talk about that. The fucking Panthers blew a shot yesterday to widen their fucking...
Oh, yeah? I didn't even see the result.
Yeah, they lost to the fucking Flyers.
The Flyers, right? The Flyers
aren't even good.
Tortorella's still coaching there? I think he is. Okay. There you go. See, we're already up on our hockey as, we approach the playoffs. I mean, would it be good to see them play a one postseason series? Certainly just to keep the rhythm going about.
Yes.
Yeah.
To make that...
They make this Kachuk deal and they don't make the playoffs? Get out of here. We're calling it the greatest deal in South Florida history. And meanwhile, the team bombs out.
Yeah, no, I mean, to have the regular season you had last year, to underwhelm in the playoffs last year, to make a coaching change, to then not even make the playoffs. It would be sad.
And he says Bobby Clark scored the game-winning goal.
God,
you would probably have to go on the internet and try to verify that.
Eric Lindros would be old. Like, you guys always skip. They've had success.
Yeah, Lindros.
You guys always you'll go back to.
I mean, people cared about Lindros. He was hated down here.
No, he was a scum. Yeah. That team, Robert LeClaire, that team was full of douchebags. That team was
Yeah, they were like the Skid Row slashers, man. They were unbelievable. I mean, high sticking was their favorite penalty.
Yes.
Just take your nose off with a stick. Anyway, we were talking about an old school with Tony Segreto, and he would also be a big fan of Hialeah Park. I mean, he goes way back with the people there as I do. And, wow, I mean, Tony's royalty down there also. Did you notice that when you see Tony Segreto on the grounds there? And you're going to feel like royalty because, I mean, there is nothing better than going into a casino that has a winning vibe, People are happier, Lubie. I don't know. Have you ever been in besides Hialeah Park? You've been in some Vegas casinos and other places that I've dragged you into. You don't feel that kind of winning vibe, especially the Latin flavor to it, man. It makes it even more fun, right? People are dancing to the cashier's cage there and saying, they told me to call the attendant, so I'm over here cashing this giant ticket. And, they're winning jackpots right and left. All your favorite Vegas-style games, Tremendous atmosphere. That party that they had going during the boxing match on the outside patio, that is dynamite. That's coming up on Friday nights. DJ, I mean, they got a real, superstar DJ and
Nice.
rhythms. I started dancing, Lubie. I really did. Me, and I don't like to dance because I'm a horrible dancer. So I'm very inhibited about that. I might have the worst dance moves of anybody ever.
No, I've seen some pretty
I
bad.
do the Jewish two-step.
Jewish.
I mean, it really is embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing. I'm sorry. Ed Garcia, who's going to join us, I hope, later on in the program also from Texas Roadhouse Restaurants, fine sponsors of the Tony Segreto Old School Hour and the show itself. He was trying to get us up to do some line dancing there, which they do as part of the festivities and the great atmosphere they have at Texas Roadhouse. And I was going to decline, man. I was going to have to fake a knee injury or something. Oh, no, I just got shot up there. They say this arthritis will clear up in a couple of months.
But even with that, Hialeah Park makes you want to dance.
Yes, no, it really does. You're going to be dancing in the aisles there. Notice how we weaved a couple of sponsors.
You
did
the
same message. I guess I'm feeling pressure because I have to get out of here. I haven't seen any sign of the Mustang though, so.
Oh, that's good. That's how
he makes it onto the bus. I don't think I can go without her. I think she has the tickets.
She definitely has the tickets.
What do we shine this thing on? No.
You gotta go.
No, I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure I'll enjoy it. Although I much more enjoy sleeping after the show than actually indulging in any real active activity kind of thing. Anyway, Hialeah Park is great. You're gonna love it. Champion Simulcast Room going to be rocking, man, all during the season here. We got the Florida Derby coming up at Gulfstream Park, and you can bet the simulcast there. And you look outside there, the paddock area. I mean, it is. I don't even know if it's second to be in there. It's absolutely fantastic. The simulcast setup there at Hialeah Park. Who's watching live racing anymore anyway, right? You're at the track and you're still watching the race on TV. You notice that, Lubie? How strange is that?
I love Gulfstream, but that's exactly what you and Mayo do.
Everybody. I mean, I'm not alone in this. They said Michael Corleone did this. Anyway, Hialeah Park, check it out. Get the rewards card. You get a player's card, and the rewards program is sensational at beautiful Hialeah Park. All right, Tony is going to join us here. Wow. I mean, that hour kind of zipped by for me. I don't know about you, Libby, but having nothing but fun here. A lot to talk about. And Tony's going to join us here in just a few minutes. Go old school with Tony Segreto. Can you pop his handsome face on before we, make the exit here, top of the hour? Libby?
Stepped out.
He's not ready to go? Okay.
No, he's not.
There's Tony's chair.
That's where
he's in a corner there. He's backed himself against the ropes.
Tony will be right there.
That's an odd confusion. Where is he, man? Is he incarcerated?
Well, he knows you're gonna fight, so he knows he's not coming on till 8, so that's why he's got coffee or whatever the hell.
All right, I don't blame him, man. Anyway, 8 is post time for the Tony Segreto Old School Hour, so we'll have that coming up in just a couple of minutes as we continue now that.
The time.
It's 7:57.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously. Friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Tell me, doctor, where are we
All right, welcome back to the show. This is always fun for us. Every Wednesday, we're joined by the great Tony Segreto, and he's not jumping on the bandwagon, people. I mean, this man is firmly entrenched in just about everything that goes on at the University of Miami. He said long before Adam Schefter predicted that Norshard O'Meara would be playing in the ball game against Drake in the Friday opener to the weekend. That everything was cool. His inside information turned out to be accurate. But it was a miracle. We ran this by Jim Larinaga when he was on the show yesterday, which, by the way, as usual, he was brilliant, and his enthusiasm was just absolutely contagious. And you're thinking that this man is just, incredibly loving what he is doing. But we said the headline in the paper the next day should have been "Oh Miracle," and it was St. Patty's Day, of course, that he pulled this off. And he had told us a story, Tony, and this was old school, about when he had George Mason going to the Final Four. He had a player that was a big key component for him.
Jai Lewis.
Yeah, had two bad ankles, and that the guy sat like at the some dock off of Lake Michigan while it was freezing and soaked his ankles in the water there, and somehow miraculously was okay.
Oh yeah.
That was an amazing thing that this kid played, and at the level that he played at, it was a Holy West Unseld for me in that second game. An amazing performance. So you have every right to feel good about your Canes and your prediction.
Well, it's not just that. It's think about modern medicine today and the remarkable resiliency of these young athletes is awe-inspiring. I mean, think about Patrick Mahomes. I mean, who would have ever thought he would have been able to perform like he performed, even in the Super Bowl when he got hurt?
Yeah,
the way he came back, and the way they can, sort of master it. It is miracle. It is a miracle. But listen, I was so happy for Larinaga and so happy for the men, and I want to talk about this. But I have to tell you, watching the women play the next night against Indiana,
that was a wild game. I watched that.
Katie Meyer and that team was remarkable. I had more fun watching. I mean, I get a little goose leather just talking about it. I had more fun watching that game and the way those young women played in a hostile environment. Listen, the Miami win for the men was spectacular, but it wasn't a hostile environment. This environment was out of control. Completely out of control, and the way they handled it, and the emotion that Katie Meyer had was
she was overwhelmed. It was great.
Yeah, and Jim the same way. It's just fantastic. And if that doesn't make you forget about the fan, who you're a fan of. Listen, when I went to school at Miami, we didn't even have basketball. So,
yeah,
I
was wondering. I mean, were you around when Rick Barry was?
Well, I was around when Rick played, but
yeah.
but goodness me, it's just.
Well, I mean, when was that? That had to be like late 60s?
Yeah, well, I was there 68 to 72. Well, I was there, yes, 72. So
okay, so that was prior to that, like mid 60s for Rick Barry, University of Miami.
Yeah.
I've told you this many times. I was shocked when I first moved to town in 1981. And one of the first things I did was run down to the University of Miami, and Howard was holding one of those great press conferences in that little conference room.
Yeah.
Where, he would sit at the end of the head of the table there, and he would have like a general discussion. And then, the SID would say, and now Howard is going to, I think it was Carl Schmidt was the SID at the time. And he went on to great fame in Louisville sports. As one of the administrators there for a lot of the city, organizations that deal with sports. But and he would say, "Okay, Howard's going to be available now for one-on-ones," and you would think, "Really, this guy's going to line up like?" And everybody, you would have your camera position already established, and then he would literally roll around to like 12 different guys into a one-on-one interview. But I thought, okay, so the football season ends, and I'm thinking, all right, so where's the basketball office?
Yeah.
And there wasn't one. I mean, the only round ball they had in there was like women's volleyball or something.
Yeah.
How long? I mean, they went what? How many years without a program, Tone? Do you know?
Off the top of my head, I would say 15, 20 years, something like that. I mean, it was incredible. Listen, Miami got, that was an interesting period of time, and that's when football almost was disbanded. That's a lot of things were going on there,
Yeah.
and it was a transitional period for the university, both academically and athletically. And they came out of it, with not just flying colors, but the colors are still flying. I mean, academically, the university is one of the top universities in the country. You can't. I mean, when you think about the School of Medicine and what they're doing at the Miller School and Sylvester Comprehensive, and then you go and see the renaissance of athletics. You guys made the joke, is it a basketball town now because of what Pat Riley, and I mean, I don't think it's not a basketball town, it's a sports town.
Well, we don't know what
And
kind of town we are.
and
We have no
yeah,
identity as a sports.
but there's a definite buzz on campus when you have a Larinaga and a Katie Meyer. Again, both sort of throwbacks to Howard and Coach Frazier, where they're both visible, they're both easy to get to, they're both willing to talk to you. They're both willing to share moments with you. The players are, certainly. I thought the players represented themselves so well. I mean, that's what got me.
They are pretty distinguished.
They
I heard an interview with Jordan Miller
did.
before the ball game.
Yeah.
And he was on with Joe Zagacki. I happened to be driving, picking up some Chinese food, and I caught the pregame. And Jordan Miller was being interviewed, and I was like, "Wow, what a polished young man this guy is."
Yeah, I mean, but both men and women. I mean, we know all about the twins on the women's side, but still, all the women, I thought, and all the men, the way they handled themselves, both on the court and then afterwards with post-game interviews, was just. It just represented our entire university with such great class and integrity, and
Although the one that got the attention was when Destiny Harden said that they asked her, "What did your coach say to you, in the huddle?" And she said, "Well, he told me to go out and win the fucking game."
Yeah, right, great. Exactly. Yeah. And she goes, "Pardon my language." I thought it was great. It
was a lot of fun to watch. I mean, because it was so typical of what you see in these spots where the underdog is dominating, and then they hit with a haymaker in the third quarter. They were awful. They couldn't make a shot. I thought this. Lubie was looking at the stats there and said, "Well, these Kavanagh twins. One of the twins had 9 points." And you thought, well, were they major contributors? But they were 5 of her 9 points were so crucial a game at a time. Where I mean, it's a Segretoism right there. I mean, in the moment when it really mattered the most, those points were huge. I mean, they represented a lot more than just 5 points in the box score.
The girls and the men, both of them, they never looked out of sync. Even though they weren't making baskets, they never looked like they were panicking.
Ever. I don't know. Drake, that Drake game, I thought was very suspect.
Yeah, well, but
that was a brick fest. That was the worst shooting I've ever seen by a team in a long time.
It was. It was. No, I agree. But let's go back to Destiny for a second.
They hung around though.
What I loved about the Destiny interview was that she was honest. Mm-hmm. She was just honest. It was like some players will go, "Oh, the coach said go out and win it," or make sure you do this and make sure you do that. She was just emotionally in the moment, and she let it fly. And once it flew, she realized, oops, and then she made fun and had fun with it. So how can you fault that? You just can't.
Yeah, all signs were they were going to get beaten in that game, especially when that girl made that 3-pointer from the Coke machine.
Yep.
With 6.6 seconds to go, and you thought, "Oh man, here you go. You're going to have to play overtime." Obviously, momentum has swung badly the other way, and so that was great. And let's hope they can continue. And the University of Miami men's team, which they have a kind of a tough assignment. Obviously,
both teams drew tough assignments. You got Villanova and Houston. I mean, you got tough ones. But I want to go back to Lubie's point. Real quick, he said something in a little passing there a moment ago, hanging around. I really, in my years of, this is just my experience, in my years of covering sports, teams that hang around, a batter that has, 5 or 6 or 7 foul balls.
Yeah.
I swear the percentages wind up in their favor. That guy's going to get on base more often than not. And the team that hangs around usually winds up winning. And Miami was able to hang around and do it. Miami was able to stave off those who hung around. They were able to kind of break some barriers. And I'm excited for this weekend and hopeful.
Yeah, it was great. I remember, I'm going to the tennis thing today. That's why I have to bail out a little bit early on a junket from the Pompano Municipal Tennis Center, run by the great Eddie Sposa, who does this. And
You're in a tournament? Are you in a tournament?
no, no, no. We're
I'm
they're taking
hoping
2
to go
bus loads
watch
down to the Miami Open.
You're doing
So
you okay.
so you're going with people that play tennis and obviously are huge tennis fans, and you go. They give you a ticket to the event. You can roam around the grounds there, do whatever you want, and basically you don't have to drive. And there's like a bagel and cream cheese on board. And I don't know if they're going to be serving cocktails on the way down, but certainly there will be many people inebriated on the way back. But I remember going to when they were playing at Key Biscayne. I was watching a match with Andre Agassi and Mark Philippoussis. It was a featured night match. It was one of the earlier rounds in the tournament. It had to be, I guess, maybe quarterfinals or something like that. And Agassi was way off. Just he didn't have it. And just speaking to your point, you're looking and going, wow. The real difference here between, these players are all great at what they do. They execute all the shots. But the difference is, Agassi with his championship mentality, he will find a way to win when he's not on his best stuff.
Yeah.
And claws way into the match there. And then the guy leaves one slight opening. Agassi's wife, Steffi Graf, is very dangerous in those spots where the slightest of opening, and the other, guy, the other team or individual is going to find their way through and win.
Champions like that really believe they can will themselves to win, and more often than not, they do. They just feel that. Think of the great athletes that just always wind, whether it's Agassi or Steffi Graf or Chris Everett or Martina or Jack Nicklaus or Palmer, Tiger in his heyday, Marino, Montana, guys like that, or women, like that. Their ability, their confidence, they see the opening where others don't, and they take advantage. They find the weak spot. They just know those things. So I have to ask you something. So there was this debate the other day, and I'm sorry to change the subject, but
That's okay.
You sort of brought it up. There was this debate the other day about how much cream cheese do you actually put on a bagel, and is the bagel toasted or not? Yeah. So the answer was it's enough cream cheese to cover the bagel, but not to where you have to fight through the cream cheese to get to the bagel.
That's one style. Yeah.
And then one was, I personally prefer it not toasted.
A fresh bagel.
A fresh bagel. I don't want toasted. A day old bagel, I want toasted. I'm sorry, Lubie. Go ahead. I don't mean to interrupt you.
That's the thing. If it's a fresh bagel, you don't need it toasted. It's a fresh bagel. You're ruining it by toasting it.
Right.
If it's a day or more, you're weird. Like if you're not toasting it, then what's wrong with you?
Right. Okay. So the question is, how much cream cheese do you put on?
Very subjective, Tony.
Well, I
don't know that there's an answer.
But I want to know what you want, what you like.
Oh, me, I'm glopping it on, man. I'll take an entire brick of Philadelphia cream cheese, and that would cover one bagel. I just mash it down with the top half after I cut it in half.
Oh, so you can make a sandwich out of it. You don't have half and half.
Yeah,
sometimes I do. Yeah, in fact, my routine in the morning actually it doesn't involve bagels as much, but it easily could because there are bagels in the refrigerator. But I go for the Thomas's English muffin, and I will put cream cheese on one half and butter on the other. So I like to get a little bit of both. And butter on a bagel is very underrated, I believe. Butter on
I
a
agree.
bagel.
I agree. Now,
on a toasted bagel, butter is just fine also, along with cream cheese.
All right, so I'm taking this.
But I think you put as much as you want. I don't know. Some people
I know
like
that.
a thin
Lubie,
layer,
how much do you put on?
Look, I used to because I'm always been health conscious. Spread it thin, right? Just get enough on. And then I was like, I don't really like bagels. And then I started putting a lot of cream cheese on. And then I'm like, oh, I love bagels. Yeah. So yes, the cream cheese it's not like pizza where it's the bread. No, the bagel, yes, there's a difference in bagels, but it's really the cream cheese. Like if you put enough cream cheese on, any bagel tastes fucking great. Pardon my
Pretty
French.
much,
I don't know about that. Well, what kind of bagel do you like?
I like an everything. I like a nice everything bagel. That's usually my go-to. But yes, look, we go to Grandpa's. They make a really nice bagel. Not everyone nowadays makes a really good bagel, But again, you want to put on a nice amount of cream cheese. Like you don't want to be chintzy with it, is what we would say.
And what kind of bagel do you like, Jeff?
Me, I like all kinds. I actually like plain bagels if they're fresh out of the
It
oven.
is a big plain bagel.
That's like my favorite. But I'll dive into see. You have to tell yourself, and I'll see like my cardiologist whenever I think about having a salt bagel, which is as close to a pretzel
Nice.
as you could get in a bagel shop. But the salt that they use seems to be that salt that they use to melt snow on the New York streets.
Terrible.
I mean, it's so much salt that you're absolutely thinking that you're going to meet your maker sometime by noon. But I'll go for an everything or whatever. I mean, what about you, Tony? I mean, I would imagine.
I
think an onion bagel for Tony Segreto.
No. I like sesame bagels.
See, that would be my least.
I like I love honey wheat bagels. Where it's not just the wheat, but the honey wheat bagel.
Not very Jewish of you there.
Or the cinnamon raisin bagel.
Cinnamon raisin is great.
The cinnamon raisin. And my cream cheese is kind of, I like regular cream cheese, like Philadelphia, good old fashioned. But I like, I like the kind with the raisins and the walnuts and the honey or the,
forget it. No chives. No chives.
I like that. But and then trying to find a good bagel here is, going to visit my daughter, where she lives in Astoria.
Yeah. Well, that's a different thing.
Oh my gosh almighty.
That's not comparable, Tony.
But there's a place here, and there's a place in Plantation called Marion's that has really.
That's where we've gone forever.
I'll give you a couple of places here, but they're out of your way. Well, we go to Grandpa's down in Dania. That's one of the sponsors of the.
Is Grandpa's near Jackson's?
Yes.
Yes, it's right
So a little north. Yeah.
Their bagels are good. You like those?
Excellent. Guy does a good job. And there's a place in Fort Lauderdale called Chesapeake Bagels. It's near Federal Highway and it's on Commercial Boulevard. Excellent. Also. Okay. I would recommend it 1,000%. And often you can get them coming right out of the bin there, which is the case when you're talking about the warm bread, which
boy,
nobody has done more for bread than these two gentlemen, Tony Segreto and Ed Garcia, who joins us on the show right now from Texas.
Good morning. How much cream cheese do you put on your bagel?
Oh, quite a bit. I mean, I'll go all out, man. You get me in a good deli, I'm going to put some lox and go, I'll even put some capers. I'm good with it. I grew up right outside of Detroit in the West Bloomfield area, and there is a lot of bagel shops there. We got a lot of New Yorkers that came down to that area. So we bought some good bagels.
I'll tell you what, I just thought of this. How you talk, Defo just said, when it's a toasted bagel, you got to put some butter on it. How about some of that honey cinnamon butter from Texas Roadhouse? Could you imagine that mixed with a bagel? Woo!
I tell you, I think I've shared this before, but I have a family member. I give them, probably 2-3 pounds of the honey cinnamon butter, and they freeze it. And every single morning when they first wake up, they brew their coffee, they cut out a cube. By the time they get out of the shower, come down, the coffee's hot and the butter is slightly melted. And they go ahead and put that right onto their bagel and bread.
That's a beautiful thing, man. Now, is this true? And this happened again. Lubie put some pictures up, and then people on this Let's Eat South Florida thing, which has 100,000 foodie followers, and people that are interested. It's a great site on Facebook, a page on Facebook, if you're interested in restaurants. And so they noticed that we were dining with somebody that was wearing a Texas Roadhouse logo, as Lubie was heaping praise and showing pictures of all the fantastic stuff we had at that Monday gathering there a week ago. And it was interesting because people were like, well, did you mean to, obviously you're going to give, very favorable reviews when you're eating with one of the employees there. Which I'm like, this wasn't just one of the employees. It was Ed Garcia, by the way. But then the tone of this changed completely to everybody saying things about how wonderful it is. And then somebody said that you can actually ask for a thing of bread to go. Is that true?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Get out of here.
Yes.
I didn't know that, Ed. I mean, we've been doing this for years. I never knew that.
In fact, Webb, I'm gonna pull the curtain back. I talked to Ed the next day to thank him what a gracious host he was and how wonderful he was. And he goes, you know what? I forgot to send bread home with you guys. I go, we can do a redo real easy.
I would go back in a heartbeat, and it was fantastic.
Please, we'll go back in.
Yeah.
Oh my God! I have to tell you, there was a review yesterday, and I forgot to send it to Ed This guy went to Texas Roadhouse and ordered, and he's a real persnickety steak eater. And he said, all right, let's try it. We keep hearing all about this. So he ordered the steak, regular steak from the menu. And he said he was amazed he did not need a knife.
Wow.
He could cut it with his fork. And he goes, I don't know what they do to tenderize this, but it was remarkable. Ed, you're on stage. How do you tenderize? What do you do to your beef?
Hey, I'll tell you, number one, we have awesome partnerships with our suppliers. We buy some, really some excellent cows, but we naturally tenderize the beef. It's part of the aging process. We don't use any chemicals or anything like that. We just naturally age the beef. So depending on the cut, like a filet, we'll age it from 7 to 28 days. For the sirloin, 24 to 40 days. And as time goes on, which is a bit of a process because, you have meat sitting on a shelf, kept completely cool, cold, safe, all that fun and exciting safety stuff. And then as the time goes on, the muscle just gets nice and soft. And then it's our meat cutters. We have that butcher in every single one of the Texas Roadhouses that removes the nerves, cleans the silver skin, and really provides a legendary steak. And actually what we tell our meat cutters, our butchers, that when they cut that steak, they're cutting it for our guests, but at the same time, they're cutting it for the guy that's going to put it on the grill. So those dimensions have to be perfect so it can be cooked just right how the guest wants it. It's a tedious process. We cut over at least 3,000 pounds a week, if not more, depending on the volume. So, but I think that's the secret behind it, that it is naturally done and, from A to Z, and that's how it gets to your plate and tastes so good.
Wow. See, it's those things like that people just don't know.
They don't get. Well, what do you mean? This one guy it's funny, and everyone jumped on him. But
Lubie started this whole thing going, man. It was psychotic.
I was like, look, we're with the guy. I'm not hiding it. I was out here putting it. I'm like, I've been there a bunch of times. I've never posted, but it was such an array that I felt the need to just put it out there. I'm like, but one guy was like, and this is what got to me. And he was like, well, that home cooked stuff is a load of garbage. Oh, it's not. I'm like, you can not go there. It's fine. Like, I don't have to force Texas Roadhouse on anyone. I'm literally amazed at how many people run up to me and tell me how much they love it. I don't really need to sell it. But the home cooked thing's actually true. You're wrong. I was in the freaking kitchen, and literally, it's not a lie when they say 99% of everything that you ingest there is home cooked. Literally, we watch them make dressings. They make their bread. They hand cut the steaks. Like, you can say whatever you want about the place, but that's a lie. You're wrong. Like, the home cooking is a thing that is impressive. How much they home cook what they do.
Yeah, I told someone about the mashed potatoes, and I think you need to tell that story again. People don't. They go, "Are you kidding me? Those mashed potatoes aren't made in the morning and then just reheated." I go, "Nope, not at all."
Every plate.
Well, I think Lubie gets a trophy for the passion award. I love that passion about, hey, you've seen it, and that's absolutely great, and you're 100% right. But the mashed potatoes, I'll tell you, we start with 10 pounds, boil it, we cut it into cubes, we get it going. It is, but it's also a science. We have the thermometers to make sure that, hey, the water gets to the right temperature, the potatoes, the cream that we add to the potatoes is at the right temperature. We want to make sure it doesn't get too hot because it scalds, and then the potatoes will get a little bit of a yellow color. We go through all these scientific pieces to make sure that you are getting perfect mashed potatoes. And you're right, our mashed potatoes, we don't make in the morning. Trust me, life would be a lot easier, but two problems with it: make it in the morning. We're not open in the morning, so really no one's in the building. And two, fresh is best.
Yeah, absolutely. Without question. Well, we got a big weekend coming up, another big weekend of basketball. Yes. If you want the coldest beer in town, great appetizers, great food, sit at the bar, sit at a table. You got TVs to watch wherever you are. There's only one place to go. Right, guys? Texas
Roadhouse, man. People very genuine in there, too, Edgar. Before you came out, I waltzed in there, and, I immediately sensed just a tremendously good vibe. And, that's always, a big thing with me when you walk into a restaurant and you can just sense that everybody in here is not only having great meals, but they're having a great time.
I'm impressed, Defo. Like, I turned around the corner, he snuck in and he had a margarita in each hand. So kudos to you.
Hey, listen,
those are great too.
Yeah, someone asked me about margarita, and I'm not a big margarita guy, but but those are, I was telling somebody, I think I told you, Ed, when you ask for the extra shot and it comes in a test tube in the glass, I'm going, come on, man. That is just, that is just incredible. Incredible.
I slept like a baby that night.
I bet you.
Yeah.
You probably slept on the way home with that Tesla you drove home, or Tesla drove you home.
Hey, there's a guy laying down on the front seat on I-75. Car's moving, but nobody's behind the wheel. That's great. Ed, we love you, man. Thanks. It was a lot of fun going out there, and we'll have to do it again real soon.
Absolutely.
Anytime you want addresses to send bread, please, or the butter, just let us know. We'll send them to you.
Yeah.
You do.
Okay.
Take care, guys.
Ed Garcia, ladies and gentlemen, Texas Roadhouse Restaurant. It's a great experience. It really is.
Really
Tony
was.
Segreto.
It was just fantastic. I could not. We could not have a better partnership. But what a group to represent and be a part of. And
the prices. That's the thing. I mean, the level of quality. It is true. I mean, they take great pride in everything that they do there, and they do a lot of the stuff themselves, which you can tell. I was going to mention to Ed. I was at a place last night catching some live music. The place is not like going to be winning any James Beard Awards as a restaurant, but it's an Irish bar that's been around for a long time. They offer food, and the food's actually pretty good. So I'm figuring, based on the jalapeno poppers that are made fresh there at Texas Roadhouse, I don't know. I just all of a sudden, and I don't normally order jalapeno poppers, in especially this place. I said, hey, let me just get some jalapeno poppers. No comparison. I mean, it was such a disappointment. Now I'm back off. I'll probably never order jalapeno poppers again until I get back to Texas Roadhouse. There was that much of a difference in, the freshness, the flavor, and the way that they took the time to prepare them. It was fantastic.
I totally get it. It's just, and again, you need to go. I tell people this all the time. We're not making this up, folks. And to the person that Louis was talking to, we have been in the kitchen. We have seen them, start the bread from scratch, and the person, the biceps and the triceps of this person, because remember the ball of dough was like this big and
crazy.
I mean, we went inside and watched the butcher cut it up. We all put jackets on because it was cold in there. You got to love what they do and understand where you're going. Okay, understand that.
That was another, like, well, if I'm going to spend, I'd rather
go to Morton's. Yeah.
Okay, like, but you're not in the same class. Like, what are you talking about? Like, their steak's $60.
Yeah, and the only French they speak in Morton's is a la carte, my friend.
Yeah. Like, exactly. Exactly. And the thing is too, people. Someone asked me about Texas Roadhouse and some other restaurants that I've been to that we really love, and they go, yeah, but I hear it's loud. And I go, well, there are two ways to look at it. Okay. You can either say it's loud, or you can say it has a lot of energy.
The atmosphere.
Yeah. I choose to select it has a lot of energy, and I enjoy that.
Look, it's a mix of a sports bar / family restaurant. That's what they're for, and that's what they do. Yeah. You're going there to have your 10th anniversary, and you want to dunk meat into cheese.
You want violin music? There are other places. Yeah.
No one's telling you that's what that place is.
Exactly. You got to go there ready to have some fun and have a good meal and not be paying through the nose.
Before I have to get out of here to catch my junket bus down to the Miami Open, a quick thought on Willis Reed. Willis Reed, as we said, I mean, if you're a general manager today and an agent starts talking about load management, what would you do except whip out a picture of Willis Reed coming out there for the 7th game of the 70 NBA playoffs?
Willis Reed, Kirk Gibson, just think of those players. And again, their will to play, will to win. I'm going to do whatever I can do. The heck with the future. The future's now. We're here. We're going to win it. And
cut me, Mick. That's basically the attitude.
Yeah.
What's that?
Cut me, Mick.
Yeah, exactly.
Right out of Rocky Balboa. Cut me, Mick.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, again, I think of that with, Omir coming back, Mahomes coming back. Listen, when Mahomes came back in, when they taped him up, for those of us who are old enough who couldn't think about the roar of the crowd when Willis Reed came off the bench. I mean, again, I get chills.
Yeah.
I can
Could have
still
been the
see
greatest
it.
ovation in Garden history.
Oh yeah.
Think about that.
Without question.
Yeah.
It was you were almost worried it would come down. I mean,
Yeah.
it was that compelling. Just fantastic.
If you get online, I don't know if you could get access to this, but New York Post today, Mike Vaccaro, a good friend of the program here, brilliant
Mike's a good writer.
depiction, encapsulation of the emotions of what Willis Reed meant to the city and what he meant to that New York Knickerbocker team, which we said, unfortunately, and Lubie was right about this, Tony, there's a parallel there between the Knicks franchise and our own Miami Dolphins. Neither has won a championship since '73. They've both flirted with eras where they were coming close, and yet they haven't been able to do it. And as I was doing the math, that is exactly approaching 50 years of futility.
Yes,
Wow.
Well, we just did the '72 team was 50 years.
Wow. Well, here's now 50 years of commemorating futility coming up.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe because of what we're dealing with now with March Madness and baseball season starting and having both Hurricanes men and women in it. But I'm seeing all these moves teams are making in the NFL.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at what we've done here with the Dolphins, and right now I'm not excited.
No, I mean Jalen Ramsey coming in, and they went out and solidified other positions as well.
Yeah, I have to wait and see. And we were excited last year again.
You, of all people?
I want to wait and see. I want to wait and see them come out and play a little bit.
My God, what has happened here?
Go down, go get on your jumper.
I'm with pom-poms and pasties and a G-string. And you, Tony Segreto, Mr. Optimism, are telling me the Dolphins are going to suck? Unbelievable. I know you didn't say they were going to suck.
Hold on.
No, you weren't optimistic, though.
I did not say optimistic. I said excited. Excited and optimistic are two different things.
I don't know.
And excited is anticipation.
I see them as more in the same category.
Mm-hmm. Nah, I don't. They're not.
He's been numbed. I just think it's amazing that Tony Segreto.
Yeah, 50 years has finally gotten to Tone.
That's crazy.
Frustration.
I'm just frustrated. It's just we have these years where we're running off 8 wins in a row, and the next thing you know, we're dropping 6 in a row. It's like
9 and 8 the last 2 seasons. Think about that.
Man.
They were 9 and 8 when they were supposed to stink, and they were 9 and 8 when they were supposed to be good.
And I still believe in McDaniel. I just I don't know.
I hope you would change over time here.
I just don't know.
Louie and I want to sell season tickets.
Go enjoy your.
I'm going to go watch some tennis. It'll be a lot of fun. I really enjoy this event.
Send us a picture of the bagel you're having.
Yeah, let me see your food.
You know what? I doubt that I'm going to down one there. They're actually serving bagels and like a lot of Jewish food. I think a rabbi must have ordered the food for the catering for the early morning portion of this thing.
Are you watching your weight, or is that you watching?
I already ate because I get up at like 5:30 in the morning, and the first thing I do is make a little breakfast here and get the day started.
Yeah,
so
today was one of those days where either I didn't set it properly or it didn't go off. I roll over. I'm usually up like on days like today.
Yeah,
I usually get up at like 5:45, something like that, where you make your coffee, you do your thing, and I look over at the clock this morning, and it was 5 to 7, and I'm going, whoa, wait a minute, this is
like you.
Right. And I'm not. The great Anthony Bruno, who owns Anthony's Runway 84, he and I laugh because no one understands either of us, because we both say how we like to get up and relax.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm not like Roseanne, my wife, can get up and she's moving. Her
that's
feet
Lubie.
are hitting the ground and going. I can't. I got to noodle a little bit. I got to get the coffee and sit and let the
get yourself a New York Post sports section.
You get that delivered every day?
Yes, I do. And I had some issues with my delivery person who was starting to become very insulting. But he seemed, or she, I'm not sure if it's a man or a woman, seemed to respond by now delivering the paper at its proper time. So it's good. I love it. It's a great sports section.
I love the paper.
I mean, a great sports section.
What time does it come?
It comes to the house here usually before 6:30. Sometimes earlier.
What is the subscription cost?
It pretty much costs what it would cost to, go out and buy one every day. But you have the convenience of having it first thing in the morning, thrown at the door, and I get a lot out of it. I get a tremendous amount of material out of the sports section, and we don't have a sports section like that anymore in town.
No.
So I mean, they have 4 pages on Willis Reed, 5 or 6 different perspectives on it, a couple of pages on Patino with the St. John's job. Then they get to 4 or 5 pages on the Yankees and the Mets. So I mean, there's just a ton of stuff in there, and even in their tidbits, they cover a lot of ground. Where they have little condensed, items, briefings, and they cover a lot of stuff in a massive sports section. It's like half the paper, so it's great. Go get it, Tony. I recommend it. You'll enjoy it.
You know what? I think I might, especially now with the Triple Crown coming up. And are we back to listen? Before you go, and forgive me because I don't know this. Are we back to the normal first week of May?
That's back. Everything's on schedule. Yeah, COVID's finished. It's over. The only guy it's not over for is Novak Djokovic, who won't be playing today.
I have to tell you, I'm during the 72, 70, I was a huge. I mean, first of all, I love horses. I used to own a horse, and
there was a dog named after you, Segreto.
There was a dog. I mean, I love.
I cursed you out a
horses.
few times.
I'm sure you did. Yeah. But Secretary, I just had this affinity. I love Secretariat. I just loved Secretariat beyond the fact that he was,
I was there at the Belmont when Secretariat won by 31 lengths.
That's what a moment.
Yeah.
And I had a big poster of Secretariat up and in my house. I mean, it was just so. For those who don't know, I love bourbon, and I collect.
Oh yeah, well, we noticed that, Tony. That was a surprise. Yeah,
I collect bourbons, and I get a notification that Woodford Reserve, Distillery, they're coming out with their Kentucky Derby bottle, which every year they do.
Yeah.
But this year's bottle is to commemorate Secretariat's great, triple win. So they have Secretariat on the bottle. So there's a pre-order, and I've been trying to pre-order this because it doesn't come out till April 30th. I was trying to pre-order this bottle for the last 3 weeks.
Oh wow!
And for whatever reason, it's just not going through, and I don't think they're delivering here. So I've got to figure out. I got to call a friend of mine and figure out a way to get a bottle of the Secretariat Woodford, put aside for me somewhere and sent over here to South Florida because one of those commemorative bottles. But
work our contacts at the track.
50 years of Secretariat and the legendary Ron Turcotte and that whole group.
Unbelievable. And I got to run, Tony. I feel pressure here. So
go.
You guys finish it off, and thanks so much. And I'll talk to you again next week, Tom.
Glad you could stop by.
All right, thanks. All right, back with more in a moment. Lubie and Tony the rest of the way. Now that.
The time.
8:36. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in Style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapists, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
One thing I noticed, a big disparity. I mean, the Florida State players look waif-like. This is kind of like watching the Oklahoma Sooners football team come in for their tune-up game, their cupcake game on the schedule against Ohio Wesleyan. And you look at the offensive line of Oklahoma, and you wonder how anybody's going to get around them. There is a distinct size differential in the girls on the Oklahoma team versus those on Florida State.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to use football as the analogy. I'm going to say that they all look like Dave Kingman. You know, they're all like 6 feet tall. It's remarkable. There's a couple of girls who are probably 5'5", 5'4", 5'6", but I would say a good.
But they're like 240, yeah.
6 feet tall, and man, and when you look at their numbers, they're gaudy. I mean, 406, 425, 32 home runs, 27 home runs. Even the ninth hitter in the lineup has got like 18 home runs this year.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
All righty, wrapping things up, finishing things on another Kicking It Old School Wednesday with one and only Tony Segreto. Thank you to Texas Roadhouse. We talked a little bit about the tournament, Canes and FAU in the Sweet 16, along with the Lady Canes.
Yeah, let's not forget FAU. What a great job they've done.
So what was it? Because you made fun of me for my viewing habits because my wife is not a sports fan at all, and I don't see her all week. So we spend our time together, vegging on the couch a lot on the weekend. I don't know what it was. Either she was napping, I don't know what it was, but I watched a lot of college basketball this weekend. What was your weekend like? Because to me, the action, those are my favorite 4 days in sports.
Oh yeah,
it was 12 to 12 Thursday through Sunday.
So Thursday was all basketball. All basketball. Friday, and the reason I say that is because on Friday, I had, how many TVs do we have? We have this. Well, I think we have 6 TVs here, but on Friday I had all of them on, and I split it up where 3 and 3 were basketball on 3, and then FSU softball on 3.
Oh, man.
Because they were playing Syracuse. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it was a split between basketball and softball. So I would bounce back and forth through the rooms. And I was sad when Sunday was over because I enjoyed every second of it. And then on Monday, it was great because we had the women play. And I have a dear friend of mine who went to Indiana, and she and I had so much fun just talking trash back and forth. It was it was fabulous. And now I'm looking forward to what happens this coming weekend. Miami opens up on Friday, right? The men open up on Friday.
FAU's Thursday, Miami's Friday. Yeah.
Right. And the women, I didn't look at the women's schedule. Do you have it offhand?
I don't know when the women. I've been trying to find it on my app, and I haven't. They keep showing me the women's NIT, so I'll have to look it up. I don't know when they play again. The women's
Jim Sarney's on. Jim, send us a note. When do the women play Villanova? But both teams drew some tough draws.
Yes.
The men with Houston and again, I think we've gotten to the point where, especially for the men, this is not about just happy being there.
No,
this is about regardless of the opponent, regardless of people saying this is the favorite other than Alabama to win this championship, we've got to figure out a way to here in Kansas City to win. So the play the women at 2:30 on Friday. Oh,
yeah, it's right in the middle of all of it. Yeah, I don't know. I know you get into the women's, and good for Sarney. And I guess Monday I could have because regular tournament, and that game ended up being great. I know Defo talked about it. When they play opposite the men, I get it. The games aren't for the men till the nighttime. Thursday and Friday, they don't start till 6.
Yeah.
So I guess you could watch that game. I don't know.
Let me tell you what, the energy in that building, and Jimmy, you can weigh in on this with your notes. the energy in that building for that game was off the charts. I am telling you, you could feel it. You could absolutely feel it through the TV. And to me, when you can feel that kind of energy, you can only imagine the type of energy that was going on at that stadium. You know, I mean, just remarkable. And then and then you wonder why people like me and Defo, who are old codgers now, then you wonder why our hearing is bad. You know, where you're in buildings like that your whole life, you know, between buildings and stadiums and you know, automobile races of all kinds, whether it was Formula One or NASCAR, and then you got your own headsets on, and you're hearing that. I remember doing a Sugar Bowl game at the Superdome between Miami and the University of Tennessee. And our booth was located right behind a group of Tennessee fans who sang Rocky Top for 4 quarters. And this was inside the Superdome. And not only after the game did my head ring with Rocky Top, Tennessee. Not only was it that, but my ears were just ringing. It was just like, oh, there was no relief. It was like, okay, 4 hours of this, man. It's tough. But the energy that in Bloomington, Indiana was remarkable. And I actually thought, you know, I loved I thought the analysis of the broadcasters was excellent. I thought it was just well done. Terrible, you know, really well done. And I look forward to seeing how the women perform against Villanova, because they got a tough task, man. There's that girl, and I don't know her name, forgive me for this, who plays for Villanova, who's like, you know, she's like 6'7", 6'8", just remarkable player. Mm-hmm. So we'll have to see how Katie Meyer and Larinaga draw up the scheme. And again, you all laugh. This is about living in the moment. Can you know, all of Miami studs, both men and women, can they live in that moment where, boom, they can make the baskets? You know.
I wish the Lady Kings all the success in the world. I don't know how much of them I watch, but once you got for the men's team, once you got O'Meara playing, it wasn't
a different team,
because Willis Reed played for like 5 minutes and actually didn't do anything in that game. That was actually Clyde Frazier, and I actually feel bad for Clyde, who doesn't get any credit, because when you look at his stat line for that series and you look at his stat line for that game specifically, it was like friggin' LeBron or Jordan. And all everyone remembers is the first.
Well, the same thing here. I mean, you know, everyone forgets Earl, but you know, wasn't for Earl in '72, Miami doesn't go undefeated. You know, and I think that what made the Willis thing so special was the inspiration. Yeah. You know, because it didn't just inspire the team, it inspired that building.
Yeah, the city. Yep.
And so now the building became another player. And I don't care what you say. I don't care if you're a seasoned veteran. You can tune it out all you want. When you get a building where it's so loud you can't even hear yourself think, it's tough.
Well, that was what people gave. The Dolphins didn't win because of the Orange Bowl, and losing the Orange Bowl didn't stop the Dolphins from winning. But when the Dolphins were winning, the Orange Bowl was a factor because of how it was constructed. It wasn't a record.
Well, yeah, I mean, just go back.
So loud, and from what my parents have said, like it shook. And when a building's shaking,
yeah,
it's going to get weirded out by that. Like that's just weird. Like
it would sway. I mean, here's the thing, you know, we would refer to underneath the stadium as the bowels of the stadium, right? And where the restrooms were in the Orange Bowl was really deep in the bottom of the Orange Bowl. Yep. There would be times when you'd be in there and you wouldn't hear anything, and then there'd be times when you could actually think you were like, "Where's the crowd?" I mean, like you're looking around. But for those who don't know, go look up YouTube and Ron Jaworski backing away from center. He was in the closed end of the Orange Bowl Monday night game. He backed away 3, 4, 5 times. I don't even know what the number is anymore, because they could not hear. That's how loud it got. And when it gets that way, mistakes are going to be made because you can't hear snap counts. Yep. In a basketball game, you can't hear a coach. I mean, they're giving you all the signs, but if they're saying something particularly, you can't hear it, and you miss the call. those are tough. It's tough if you're not the home team.
So Omer, I'm not saying it's Willis Reed, but he actually contributed a lot more in the game than Willis Reed contributed in that game. And it wasn't a crowd lift because we know Miami doesn't travel the best, especially when it comes to basketball. But you could see, like, to me, and they struggled in that Drake game. And I never for a second doubted that they'd win it. Like, once Omer was out there, and the dude in that game was a monster. He put up a double-double. The next game, he didn't score a lot, but he had 17 rebounds and really took the air out of the ball a lot of the time. They knew they were one and done. Indiana was one and done. Trace Jackson's one of the best players in the country, and they could do nothing. Like they were one shot and done. And when you're one shot and done, it really limits you offensively. And the Canes were just shooting the lights on the game too. But Omer, the lift he gave them, because all week, like it got more negative. Not like you went from being confident Monday to being a little curious Wednesday. By Thursday, we had no idea if the guy was going to play. And the fact that he was out there and he played well, like they couldn't shoot to save their life. And he kept them in that game. It was a kind of lift that not only needed then, but I'm not picking them to win, but I don't think they're going to get routed. Like I could see them losing by double digits to Indiana. I don't see that. The way Omer's playing, the way Wong is woken up and Pack, they have that kind of inside-outside presence that wins in the NCAA.
The studs have to step up again. Listen, you're absolutely right, but if they're throwing up, bricks and air balls, they have got to be able. How many times this past couple of rounds have you heard a coach say, "We have got to slow it down. We have got to forget about the crowd. We've got to we can't get caught up in this emotion because you're going to get that adrenaline flow. Your legs are springing up. It's like you flubber. I mean, your legs are springing up more than you need."
That's what Larry Naga said yesterday. He said our problem in the Drake game, as opposed to the Indiana game, was we weren't nervous. We were so anxious and so ready to go that we couldn't contain it. He's like, and we couldn't get it, and we weren't hitting shots, not because we were off, but we couldn't. Because he went to the full court press, and they talked about it in the game, which I give them. We mock announcers so often. They were actually on it. They noticed it. They referenced it, and then after the game, they talked to him about it. So we asked him about it, and they talked about it as opening up the offense. After he made the comment, I was like, "Did you go to the press to get them out of their heads? Did you go to the press because they were so jacked up? Then now, he's like, yes. He's like, the press a lot of the time will get you focusing on defense, which will get you easy baskets, which will get you out of your heads on offense. And you could see it. You could see it in the Indiana game where they were like, all right, we're supposed to be here. Let's go play basketball. And they just ran through them that entire game.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You got to get your guys to think it's a regular game. It's hard. It's hard. Listen, they're 18, 19 years old. They know the significance of it. And then what are you going to do? Take their phones away so they don't see social media and how everybody's excited and how important it is, and on and on and on and on and on. I think we forget. And again, I told the story before, but just for reference, I remember sitting on a plane. We would get on a plane coming back from a Dolphins game, right? And the veterans, the big veterans, the Zonkas, Greaseys, Warfields, Kuchenbergs, they would all sit in first class. And Kuchenberg would have a pewter mug frozen by the flight attendants where he would have a couple beers on the way home. And this is when, you could have a couple beers on the way home and there wasn't, the liability at the time, which should have been, but this was early 70s, 80s. And I'm sitting up front with Kuchenberg. He called me up to have a conversation. And he said, people don't understand we're human beings. He goes, we're all supposed to be gladiators and have no feelings and just robots. He goes, there are times, he goes, and I'll tell you this right now. He goes, there are times when I have a game where, I didn't sleep well the night before. I had an argument with my wife. My children weren't doing good in school. When I was in college, you failed the test. You didn't do well or you didn't do as well as you thought on the test. You broke up with your girlfriend. You're having a fight with your girlfriend. It affects you. It shouldn't, but it does. Coaches tell you got to focus. Yes, but it does. You're a human being. Yep. And when you're talking about these 18, 19-year-old kids, especially when you're on the road and you're seeing a hostile crowd, or you're seeing a team that's supposed to kick your butt by 10 points, you start to get in your head, and you've got to be able to have the focus and the coach who understands that and puts you in positions to succeed. And that's where the coaches, the Larinagas, the Schnellenbergers, the Jimmy Johnsons, the Fraziers, that's how they come into play. That's where they know their players, know how to handle it, know how to handle the moment.
Yeah, no, look, and Larinaga literally, and all the time, a lot of the time we wonder what is a coach's value. In the game, he switched their total scheming to make sure, okay, wake up, and I appreciated that from him. I appreciated that they noticed it, and it actually worked not only in that game, it worked for the next game. I'm curious to see what UM and FAU do going forward. I am on the bandwagon for both, and I'm impressed that, like, to see what we had Coach May, and we had Larinaga yesterday, and they've already moved on. Like, that's the thing. Like, the
celebration. Oh yeah, you have to. You have to.
It only go so far. And that's FAU. I figured they'd just be, look, we made a Sweet 16. They've never won a tournament game. It's only the second tournament appearance. That wasn't the way he was talking. Because look, they have a legit shot. The way the brackets opened up, they're outside of Alabama or Gonzaga, really, there's no juggernaut. And FAU and Miami don't face either team until the Final Four. So there's no reason to think you can't go forward. But it is interesting to see a program that hasn't done anything act like they've been there before. And I actually appreciate that.
I think that you have to go in that way. If you don't go in that way, you've already lost.
Yeah.
Right. Come on. You can't. There is no team. I don't care if you are a team of you, me, and Defo don't think we can go into a game and win.
Yeah.
If we do, then we've already lost. Yeah. What's the point? And at this level, athletes are confident people.
Oh yeah.
And they want to be able to show how confident they are. They want to be able to say, I've got a better ball than you do. I got a bigger stick than you do. I have, all of these different things. That's the way athletes are built.
Yeah.
It's just the way they are. Listen, when I went on the air every day in my career, it was like, you know what? I'm better than everybody else. We're better than everybody else. It's just the way it is. And we're going to prove it every single solitary day. It wasn't Tony Segreto. It was a team of people. But we felt so confident as a team that when we go, because what we did was competitive. We were battling ratings like everybody else. Everything, our jobs depended on how many viewers we could bring in. Because the fact of the matter was this. You're going to get the same news. You're going to get the same morning sports. You're going to get all the same. Who do you like well enough to gravitate to? Yeah. Right? That's the name of the game. These athletes, listen, it's me against you. It's mano a mano. I'm going to put my athletic ability up against yours, and I believe my athletic ability can beat your athletic ability.
Oh, my will.
And both teams feel that way. Now how? But again, how do we live in that 2.5 hour period? How can we harness all of that confidence into a confidence that will help me succeed and not paralyze me? That's what goes on.
Yeah. We make fun of you in the moment because like obviously the moment is big. So we sort of find it funny when you bring it up, but that's the case. It's who in the moment.
It's an understatement, of course, but I want you to think about how a young player, okay, he's been recruited out of high school. He comes to the school he wants to. We're going to cook up with the University of Miami or FAU. Yeah. And they have made it. They've been studs their whole life. They made it to the Sweet 16. They're being introduced. And all of a sudden, this epiphany, like, holy God, I'm here.
Yeah.
And you get, I better not be the one. I remember sitting with a bunch of baseball players, a bunch of great major leaguers. We were all together at a little, all went to a bar and just had a bunch of beers and we're all chatting. And I played with some of the guys and I'm saying to them, listen, I go, how many of you, be honest with me, how many of you, when it's nut cutting time,
Yeah.
And it's the bottom of the ninth, and you're up by 1, and the bases are loaded, and there are 2 outs. How many of you are saying to yourself, please, dear Lord, don't hit it to me?
Not me.
And they all go, yeah. There's that moment in your head,
Mm,
and you got to block it out.
yeah.
But it happens.
That's funny.
Right. And here are these 16, 17, 18-year-olds, not 16, but 18, 19-year-olds come
Well,
out
you
on the
just-
floor, and they're going, I don't want to be the one to throw up the brick.
Yeah. And that's the thing. That is who's doing. No, I want to know.
Right.
Like, who's that guy? And so far, I think you in Miami has found just enough, and we'll see what they do the rest of this weekend. We talked with you about joining us at Gulfstream on a Friday. While I have you, were you still thinking of joining us this Friday?
I'm thinking of, as long as my schedule doesn't change, and there's a possibility it might, but as long as it doesn't, I will be there. Is at noon, right?
We get there at about 11:30ish, and
Where do you park? Do you park at a special place, or
park anywhere? I mean, at that time, it's usually not packed yet. So I don't think next weekend would be. That's why I was thinking this weekend, because next weekend's Florida Derby weekend, and it'll be a madhouse. So if you can get, and not to do this on air, but I want to hold you to it, because I think you'd really enjoy yourself, and we'd really enjoy.
No, I would love to. I would love to. Do I need to bring anything?
No. We have everything.
You have microphones and
a whole setup. I have a road set up. And we do a show every week.
This is big time.
We do remotes 3 or 4 times a week. So yeah, just come out ready to have a good time.
Yep.
And they usually, Joe Beja, the food and beverage manager, does a great job bringing different Gulfstream Park because they have different restaurants there. So they'll bring out different delicacies from.
And where's the show done from?
We are trackside, right by where they bring out the horses. In between, we're right next to, shockingly enough, a betting window and the concession, and where they bring the horses. It's literally Defo's dream. So my concern is the 3 of you being there and focusing on the show, because the 3 of you are all track degenerates. But we deal with that every week, and people seem to enjoy it. So yeah, we're trackside, right by where they bring out the horses. There's a betting window there, and the concessions. It's
casual, right? You can wear shorts, and
it's nice. The weather's been amazing, and you're gonna have a blast. And Dave Joseph, Joe Beja treat us really well. So we'd love to have you. And I just wanted to remind you of that.
It'd be fun. Yeah. Thank you for that.
And thank you for another great week of Kicking It Old School.
This was a great hour. I love this hour today. It really was. It was worth getting up late.
Well, we appreciate it. We love you.
We love you too, man.
Friday, as you can check us out at 12 o'clock today. You can check out Tony Segreto joining us for a Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. Thanks a lot, Segreto, man. We'll see you Friday.
All right, man. Have a great day. Thanks, Lubie and Defo and everybody watching. Texas Roadhouse, Ed Garcia, we love you, man. We couldn't do this without you.
All right. We'll see you on Friday. Mr. Bye-bye. Tony Segreto, again, and that ends another edition of Kicking It Old School with Tony Segreto right here on South Florida Live. Thank you to Texas Roadhouse. Coming up, though, we're not done for the day. We have Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. This will be a Visit Lauderdale Wednesday. Next week, we'll be out with Visit Nikki Mohan herself on a Visit Lauderdale edition. And Mike Mayo's firming up where we'll be. Tomorrow, we'll be at Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market for our second edition out there. They treated us so well the first time. We are so excited to be back out there and working with the iconic Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market. So Thursday, we'll be out there, and Friday, like I just said, we'll be at Gulfstream Park for our Gulfstream Park Fridays. Don't forget, we have a contest each and every week where we give away 2 vouchers to the 10 Palms Brunch. It's for Sundays all the way until April, and we're working on how long. So if you've won and you watch both of our shows, please get back to Mike Mayo and pick a date, because we'd love to get you out there. It's a really cool contest. Mike Mayo comes up with a restaurant question. He gives a bunch of clues, and then you pick a winner in the featured race that Mike Mayo selects for that Saturday. It's got to get it to MikeMayoEats@gmail.com by 12 p.m. Saturday. And the voucher covers 2 entrants into the brunch. Each entrant gets a mimosa, and it also covers your tax and tip, which is cool. If you want to tip more, of course, we'd appreciate that, but covers everything. And it's a great day at the races. So definitely check us out on our Friday editions at Gulfstream Park, and take a chance at the contest. And check us out tomorrow. We'll be back. We have our Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Defo will be joining me at 7 o'clock. Dave Gurgles Gurgley will also be joining me. And we will give you a chance at a Landlubbers gift certificate. Landlubbers, I'm there every Thursday doing trivia. I've been going there my entire life. Amazing wings, great burgers, great drink specials. Talk about atmosphere, a really fun atmosphere, Landlubbers. Alex Dufresne and their staff, they do a really good job. And it's a bar with better than bar food. They have really good food. It's a really great time. So check out Landlubbers. We'll be giving away a gift certificate on our Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge tomorrow. And again, today at 12 o'clock, we will have a Visit Lauderdale Mike Mayo's Lunchbox right here on South Florida Live. Check out our Defo on 5, which is already up on 5 Reasons Sports Network. And we had a conversation with Justin Bourne, former professional hockey player. That's right now out on the Believe Network, BLEAV.com. Search After Hours. Then tomorrow, right here, 7 o'clock, for Mr. Miami Open, Jeff DeForest, for Tony Segreto. Thank you, Ed Garcia, Texas Roadhouse. We'll see you today at 12, right here on South Florida Live, for another edition of Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. And thank you for tuning in to this edition of the Defo Show with Lubie here on South Florida Live.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.